Welcome to the Milk and Cookies podcast. This is the super amazing podcast that has absolutely everything to do with American football and nothing to do with Milk and Cookies. My name is Alex. We got a full squad. We got Anthony, Frankie, and Leon today. So week 10 of football is written in the history books. I would say right about now is when playoff hopes should be starting to be in every team's mind here, unless you're a Lions fan.
Or
Texans fan, or Jaguars fan.
Or Dolphins fan.
We'll see what happens over the next 2 weeks.
It might seem like they're out of it, but they're not.
They're not. They're still in it, but not by
They're
much.
in the hunt.
Well, that's a nice way to put
it. That's the literal definition.
Yeah.
For them.
So, but anyway, since we're on the topic of Miami, let's just open it up with a Thursday night game. 22-10. Miami has been outscored 136-21 in the last 3 meetups against Baltimore. The last meetup was a 59-10, just gross loss in 2019, week 1. I very, 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 very vividly remember that game. And now they come back to Miami, and Miami wins. The defense actually looks alive for the second week in a row the entire season. Tua, with a messed up finger, is able to keep the offense in the game with missing Devontae Parker and Will Fuller. The Miami's next 4 games are the Jets, the Panthers, the Giants, and then the Jets again.
Joe Flacco time.
I'm not worried about Joe Flacco, and I don't think
anybody should be worried about Joe.
I
wish Joe Flacco played against the Bengals.
Not Mike White.
Mike White's jersey's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, as someone said today on a talk show here in Cincinnati, they ought to send that back because he's been crap since then.
The Mike White legacy has died after 2 weeks.
Very quickly.
What's that, Leon?
USF great.
Yeah, all right. Great. So, Frankie, you probably know this better than anybody else. What's the order for the North now?
So the Ravens are still in the division lead at 7-3. Right behind them, Pittsburgh at 5-3-1, Bengals in third at 5-4, Cleveland at 5-5. Here's the thing, though. The Dolphins, that's a good win for them over the Ravens, but I think this is more about what's wrong with the Ravens. I'll tell you what's wrong with them. I think it showed that if they fall behind, they can't come back that easily because teams have figured out how to defend their run game. They're battered up front with injuries. Their offensive line is not as great as it's been in years past. And if you pressure Lamar Jackson, he's not going to necessarily escape with his running ability. So if the Ravens fall behind against teams like Miami, it's going to be a long second half for them.
We'll definitely see what happens with Baltimore. Still 6-3 sitting on top of the division, even with missing their number 1 cornerback, a decent amount of their offensive weapons, including their 3 running backs.
Le'Veon Bell dog.
And they just waived Le'Veon Bell for whatever reason.
No, I saw that.
You see his Twitter bio?
No.
It just washed. It just has every hashtag that's been used against him.
They're probably right. Le'Veon Bell was Le'Veon Bell when he was on the Steelers. And ever since he left the Steelers, that man has not been anything. And you can't tell me otherwise. The Jets, really? Pittsburgh gives you a contract and you want more money, so you head to free agency and take a contract worth less money, less per year, and you play for the Jets. The only thing that would make that worse if it was the Lions.
Yeah. There's not going to be an 0-17 team in the first out of 17 NFL season.
Oh God, no, far from it. That's honestly, dude.
So it's going to be 0-16-1 for the Lions.
My predictions have them going 0-16-1.
I guess we'll see. I don't know. They might have. I'd say they're probably going to get one miracle win. Don't ask me. Exactly. I don't know. Not this week. Not this week.
Who do they got this week?
At Cleveland. I know Cleveland isn't performing the best, but even I think Cleveland has more than enough manpower to stomp out the Lions.
Oh yeah.
So, the next game was New Orleans at Tennessee.
That was
the only close game of the week.
That was a game that should not have been as close. Trevor Siemian, although he hasn't proved that he should necessarily be the starter, he didn't do bad against the Tennessee Titans that beat the Rams 28-16 last week.
Can we talk about that horrible roughing the passer call?
Yes.
I didn't see the game, but I didn't see the call.
Horrible. Basically, what happened, I forget who it was on the Saints that hit Ryan Tannehill. So Marcus Williams had an interception.
Yeah.
Back of the end zone. I think it was late in the second quarter. So the Saints had an interception. Tannehill threw an interception. It was called back as a roughing the passer penalty. There was no contact to the head. No, simply put it as that. It was a clean tackle of Ryan Tannehill after he threw the ball, and not too long after he did. They called roughing the passer. Tennessee scored a touchdown. They won by 2. Changed the game. Terrible call. And Sean Payton.
No, I saw that. I saw the press conference.
He was pretty testy, and he has every right to be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this isn't the first time that the Saints have been, cheated out of a call or cheated out of a game because of a bad call.
Well, we know that.
We all know about that. We all know.
Minnesota.
Robbie Coleman.
Yeah. Robbie Coleman, the missed pass interference call that would have sent the Saints to the Super Bowl
In Minnesota?
2018.
Yeah.
It was the 2018 season.
And I honestly think that that the Saints would have beaten the Patriots, judging that that's how the Patriots played in that Super Bowl.
The call went both ways.
Okay.
Are you talking about the one where the Saints receiver ducked?
What? No.
What are you
I'm talking about when the Saints receiver ducked.
Ducked?
The Saints Vikings game in the playoffs.
No. Saints
That's a
Rams.
different game.
Pass
That was
interference.
just a horrible tackle.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's the game I thought you was talking about.
Well, the Minneapolis Miracle, there was nothing bad call about that. The guy who tried to make the tackle just whiffed. I mean, he tried to go low when Diggs was still in the air making the catch.
That game still gives me chills just thinking about that. Back onto the Jets and Mike White. Buffalo at New York. That was a killing. 48-17, really.
We talk about the Chiefs getting right this week. I think the Bills did too.
I think the Bills are finally getting back on track. And same with the Chiefs.
Like, what are the Bills? 6-3. Okay, you have to understand they've played 2 bad games, but their other loss to Tennessee, that you can live with that, right?
No, yeah, you can.
And Josh Allen just slipped. I mean, that's how they lost that game. Buffalo's fine. I still think they're the favorites to win that division. New England, though, can we get to them?
New
England's
England's
scary.
scary.
I wouldn't want to play them.
Or would you say New England was a fluke win?
No, far from a fluke.
No.
Judging that they're 6-4 now in the season.
And they've outscored their last 4 opponents by 100 points combined.
Judging that the Patriots lost to the Dolphins in week 1 and then started out the season, their first 6 games, they were 2-4 and have now rallied to make it 6-4.
Here's the thing. Outside of the loss to New Orleans, which wasn't good, they've lost 2 games by 1 point and 2 points and in overtime to Dallas. I mean, they've been competitive in every game this season except one.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have beaten Miami. Sorry.
No, they should have. No, they should have. It's okay. We can say that.
I think they could have been. They should have been Tampa Bay, honestly.
The Dallas game was a fluke. Not a fluke, but it was a couple plays different could have changed that outcome.
Hard for me to say they
If
should
you
have
get
won.
a good
You're right.
kicker,
I mean,
if Dallas had a good,
It was a 56-yard field goal against Tampa Bay. Do you know how hard of a kick that is?
yeah, and it's Nick Folk, and Nick Folk, no offense, isn't the best kicker.
But Nick
You're
Folk is
right- you're right
currently
about
ranked
that.
number 1 in fantasy points right now.
It's
I
not-
understand fantasy points don't mean anything, but I mean,
he's not a good long range kicker, but
no, of
historically,
course not. Far from it. Anyway, okay, so we're just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Leon, the Bears didn't play that this week, did they?
No, bye week.
Bye week. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's just kick the bucket on this one. Detroit, Pittsburgh.
terrible game.
What a horrible game.
Sloppy.
Very sloppy. I get it.
Sloppy,
Roethlisberger was
embarrassing.
out on COVID and everything, but even then, I mean, who started? Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph.
Ugh.
The red-nosed reindeer.
Big Ben wouldn't have did
Oh
anything.
God, Anthony.
He threw a softball question,
I mean,
and I had to answer with a softball answer.
Yeah, Pittsburgh took the game away. Honestly, I mean Deontay Johnson. I mean they had 2 fumbles over them. And if you're Detroit, I mean, how the hell do you not take advantage of Cameron Edwards? Pittsburgh tried to lose that game in every way. Detroit just, AKA missed extra point. Holding by TJ Hawkinson in overtime. Missed field-
Najee Harris
and then how
overtime-
the hell do you not intercept that pass that was right in your hands if you're that defensive back for Detroit? Who was that guy? Number 42.
Oh, I don't know, but he missed it. That was a bad drop.
That's if any play sums up the Lions season so far, it's that play.
Really, I would have went with the 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker.
Well, I mean, that was an opposing team.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. No,
This-
all right, I get
you-
it. Yeah.
that's a very close second, though.
You
I'll,
just, I mean,
I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm. You know, and this player just magically popped into my mind a couple of days ago on Monday. In the 2020 draft, the third overall pick was Jeff Okuda out of Ohio State that went to the Lions.
Yeah.
I have not heard or seen anything about him since he got drafted to the Lions. And that guy was supposed to be like one of the best cornerback prospects to come into the league.
Well, he's on injured reserve. He's out for the season.
Oh, he is? Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, that
Right.
kind of makes sense why I didn't hear about it.
And I'll turn that back around. You know who's one player I feel like we haven't heard much, but he's quietly been having a very good rookie season, Alex and Leon? Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I have him on fantasy too.
Yeah,
Oh, good for you.
I have him on fantasy. Remember, you traded him away.
Oh yeah.
Good
Jaden-
for you. I have the best receiver in the game. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Ooh, Adams? Yeah, I have Adams as well.
Devontae Adams.
Hey,
struggling a little bit.
hey, Alex.
What?
Glad he didn't get rid of Robert Woods.
I should have gave you Robert Woods. That was painful, man. That was
Deals
painful.
off the table.
Should have gave him Robert Woods. No, but the thing is
Hey,
that Patrick Mahomes
Thankfully,
turned himself into the best quarterback in fantasy right now. So hats off.
Well,
he played
speaking
the
of the
Raiders.
Rams,
He played the measly Raiders.
Still threw for 5 touchdowns.
speaking of the Rams,
Dude, the Rams, Matthew Stafford is killing me.
I didn't even. Hey, I have Stafford now. Actually,
I didn't even watch. Here's the thing.
Oh God.
This
dude.
is they went through this 3 years ago when they were so electric on offense, so dynamic through the first 7 or 8 weeks. I mean, 3 years ago it was more through the Hollywood shootout game against Kansas City. But then
I remember that game was a good game.
yeah, that's one of the best games I've ever seen. They had a 2-game stretch that year. They played the Bears in Chicago and then Philly in LA. They lost both those games and they got outplayed physically. So what they do? They started to run the ball more. That's what won them the game against Dallas in the playoffs that year. And then they were more physical against the Saints the second time around. If they can rediscover their physicality, they can be fine and they can win the NFC West. But the last 2 games, they have been outplayed physically by 2 very physical teams.
I mean, go figure. I mean, look at their wide receiver core right now. Cooper Kupp, who's had an unbelievable season so far. Robert Woods, who unfortunately just tore his ACL in Friday practice.
That's
Odell Beckham
devastating.
Jr. That's really devastating. Van Jefferson. I mean, it's not that their wide receiver room is lacking. It's the fact that they're so pass heavy on offense that now, even Darrell Henderson, who's actually had a pretty good season right now, is kind of at the exact same time underperforming because he's not getting as many touches as he should be on that offense.
And you talk about a bye week coming at a perfect time. I think it came at a really perfect time for the Rams. They're still 7-3. They're right in the thick of the playoff picture. Now, I'll tell you what, though, they have a huge game the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Ready for this? At Green Bay.
That's going to be a good game.
That could be really good. But, I mean, you talk about a SoCal team going to Green Bay in late November. No, thank you.
No, that's always going to be a nightmare. Green Bay in December is somewhere you never want to play. But no, I completely agree. The Rams started out fantastic, 7-1, top of the NFC. They lose a bad game to Tennessee. You know what? Games like that happen. And then 31-10 against San Francisco. I mean, how do you lose 3 scores?
Is San Francisco now back in the playoff picture?
they're confident again. But it was
I mean,
just-
George Kittle is back.
Kittle's back, yeah, but I mean that. I don't know. I'm with Leon. They're confident. They look like they could do it, but I don't think they could.
Looking at that division now, though, you got Seattle,
Who's
the
tanked.
Rams.
They're done. Seattle's
Seattle's
done.
done. Scores no points against Green Bay.
Now, for granted, it's Green Bay, but still.
It is Green Bay in Green Bay when it did snow and it was cold.
But you also have Russell Wilson back, so you'd expect at least to get a field
It was
goal.
Wilson's first game back.
I understand, but you would
That's
expect
true.
at least to get something out of it. I understand he wasn't going to be an astronomical 30-plus point win, but 0 points.
Russell Wilson has a bounce back week this week.
think- They're home against Arizona.
Yeah, it depends.
And Arizona just lost.
Yeah, but they also have been without Kyler Murray for 2 weeks in a row.
Seattle's a team that they've played well against Arizona years past. Arizona, I mean, it's just we've seen throughout the season, teams just have bad games.
Hmm.
Like Dallas played horribly against Denver, and then they look like the best team in the league against Atlanta.
That was
Well,
such
it's
a
Atlanta.
one-sided game.
That was a butt whooping, okay?
That was 43-3, a 40-point difference.
They were Atlanta was down 28-3 at one point.
It was 36-3 in the second quarter. That's how bad it was.
Dude, they sat all their starters going into the fourth quarter. Cooper Rush and Tony Pollard were quarterback and running back in the fourth
Tony
quarter.
Pollard's a good running back.
Oh no, he's an above average second string running back. He's great.
So with Memphis has produced some good running backs over the years. Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, Daryl Henderson Jr. I mean, talk about RBU. Just go to Memphis.
It's a great core. Let's see. Indianapolis had a very close win against Jacksonville.
Expected divisional opponent.
Again, yes, expected division.
Too much of a close game though.
I would not want to play the Colts right now either.
That defense with the block kick and everything. If it wasn't for that, Jacksonville would have won.
Jaguars are making some small incremental improvements.
I mean, yeah.
Little by little.
I know we knock on Jacksonville a little too much in here. They are what, 2-7, 2-8, one of the two.
It's better than 0-8-1.
Again, agreed. Yes.
Better than winning. It's better than winning your first game and then losing 8 straight. Houston.
That's fair. But I mean, for granted, you also have to look at what Jacksonville's dealing with. They're dealing with a rookie quarterback and they're dealing with the new head coach that hasn't played on the NFL standard. But then again, you also kind of have to hold Trevor Lawrence to a little bit of a higher standard compared to Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, because this guy was revered as the greatest.
When's Zach Wilson coming back?
Who knows?
Never.
Here's what I'll say about Trevor Lawrence. I think about him and Joe Burrow. Like Lawrence's situation, I think was worse than Burrow's because at least the Bengals last year, they had some weapons on offense. Boyd, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. Yeah, their offensive line was a dumpster fire, but Trevor Lawrence comes in. The Jaguars don't have, outside of DJ Chark and Marvin Jones, who neither of them are wide receiver ones, they don't have a lot of talent on offense to work with. Joe Burrow came in and had some weapons to work with. So I think it can take a little bit more time for Trevor Lawrence to get developed. It might take him to like year 3, but I mean, Lawrence is still, you can build around him.
No, you can't. Look, my whole point about going after Trevor Lawrence is not that he's performing at a level that he shouldn't be playing. I mean, you're right. There's no definitive wide receiver one. The offensive line is serviceable. But I mean, the exact same time, you have last year a top 5 running back, James Robinson, who was an undrafted undrafted rookie.
He's good.
Who has not been utilized as much as what he should be, especially for a rookie quarterback. You think that he would be getting at least 20 carries a game.
Yeah.
At
and
least.
Just wait. Yeah. And when they get Travis Etienne back next year for his first season, even though it'll be his second season in his career.
Yeah. I mean, they probably utilize him more as a receiving back more than anything.
And Urban had never coached a game in the NFL prior to this year.
No.
For it being Urban's first year, 2-8 or 2-7?
Or 2-7, but they're 2-2 in their last games.
So they're good. They're small improvements.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get an
off.
offensive line in the offseason.
I think you need some weapons.
No, I would
Get
say
some offense.
Everyone see.
Hear me out on this.
Okay.
It's week 10 or week 11 actually. Week 10 or 11.
week 11.
Week 11. Mark my words. Jacksonville is gonna have a big splash this offseason.
In terms of
Offensive weapon.
No.
eh,
Look, the only major
hear me out on
offensive
this, though.
weapon available in free agency, assuming that he doesn't get re-signed, is Devontae Adams, and I do not see him signing with
Chris
Jacksonville.
Godwin will be a free agent
But I don't see him going to Jacksonville.
unless it's if he wants the cheddar.
I mean, you gotta. I mean,
Mm.
there's got to be a reason for you to go to Jacksonville. Like, if you're Devontae Adams, why would you?
WR1.
I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean, but my thing, Anthony, and you bring up a great point there because everybody says go get offensive linemen to protect your young quarterback. No, give him some weapons because what good does it do if you have 5 really good offensive linemen, but you don't have any, game-changing playmaker or wide receiver? That's why I was Team Chase with the Bengals, and everybody said, or those who in Team Sewell very adamantly said, you have to protect your quarterback. Yes, but you need to give him weapons. Look at what Jamar Chase has given Joe Burrow, that game-changing weapon, that explosive playmaker. Who, by the way, spoiler alert, I think is gonna have a big bounce back game this week. Sorry, Anthony.
You're all good.
The
I'm saying sorry because the Raiders secondary is not very good.
Yeah.
So just to get through these last couple games since we are almost out of time. Washington over Tampa Bay. That was just a fluke win, in my opinion. Tampa Bay threw 2 picks in the first 3 drives. I say that was just poor planning and poor play.
It's just a bad game. We'll bounce back.
I don't think
Not
that's
often you see a
hindrance.
10-minute drive either at the end of the game.
Exactly. So I don't really think that's going to be a hindrance on them.
We'll bounce back. I
By a
believe.
quarterback who always reminds me of Heineken beer.
Yeah. Let's see. Carolina, Arizona. Cam Newton was being back, and also Arizona was running without Kyler Murray and Hopkins for the second week in a row. I'm not saying that should be an excuse, but I would understand that that's the reason why they only had 10 points.
Carolina might be the weakest playoff team ever if they make the playoffs.
No, they will be.
And Cam Newton's I'm back, please. 3 of 4 for 8 yards. Come on.
Minnesota at the Chargers. That kind of surprised me. I think Mike Zimmer has saved his job for one more week. But then again, this upcoming week will be Green Bay in Minnesota. So
did you know that Kirk Cousins has 18 touchdown passes to only 2 interceptions this year?
Yeah.
Like, he's not the reason Minnesota's losing games.
No, it's honestly the defense and just the head coach planning.
By the way,
I wouldn't say the defense.
Yeah, their head coach is defensive minded. He used to be the defensive coordinator for the Bengals.
Yeah.
He was actually very good though.
Let's see. Philly had a nice win over Denver. I don't know. Denver's win against Dallas was weird. Denver, fluke win, and I honestly think Denver is not going in near the playoffs. And I'll even go far to say I think Denver will finish under 500, but I think that's already kind of clear.
4-13.
Yeah, I think they will too. 7-10, maybe.
Maybe. And the
Lions go 115-1. I don't know who they beat, but
it's the sad thing, and I hate to say it, that's the Lions' ceiling right now. That's their ceiling is 115-1.
They might upset Minnesota at home. I can see them beating Minnesota at home.
If they beat Minnesota at home, then that's when Mike Zimmer's going to lose his job. And finally, I saved this game for last on purpose. This wasn't a direct call or hit at Anthony, I swear on my life. But Kansas City at Vegas, Sunday night.
Hear me out on this, though.
It was a good game.
Both Deshaun Jackson and Odell did not have good first games with their new teams.
I chalk it up to they just didn't really know the full playbook. And the only thing that I would say about Deshaun Jackson is the catch for 40 yards and then fumbled the ball.
I almost threw my.
He should have just ran straight. Like everybody.
I almost threw my remote at the TV.
That's how he holds the ball. He has no ball security. He's used to holding it with one hand and running.
I mean, do you remember this is the second time that he's done something like this? Remember the Philly play where he threw it behind his back on the 1 yard line and it was a dead ball? Yeah.
Remember that.
You do remember that or don't?
No. What game was that?
Oh my God. 2011, 2012. It was one of his first seasons with the Eagles. Had a huge 70, 80-yard pass, and right on the 1 yard line, he just throws the ball behind his back. And before he enters the touchdown, nobody called it, so they ruled it dead at the 1 yard line.
Sounds like Deshaun Jackson would do that.
It sounds like something, right? But just another food for thought here. 3 weeks ago, Kansas City was 3-4 and at the bottom of their division. Now they're 6-4 and leading their division.
And I think they're going to run away with it.
3 weeks ago, I also said that I didn't think Kansas City was going to make the playoffs because of how their offense looked. In the past 3 weeks, they have looked a lot better. 6-4, and they've had a good win. The Raiders game was not a cupcake win, that's for sure. Judging that even half of America predicted that the Raiders would win and even gave the Raiders the majority here. What was that? Before that, who did Kansas City play week 9?
Green Bay.
Yes, Green Bay. That was a beaten Green Bay because they didn't have
Their
Rodgers.
defense has been playing much better too.
It's nice to see what happens when teams get defenses and everything.
Well,
So
they have the Chiefs have a monster game this Sunday against Dallas.
it'll be that's going to be a playoff predictor, I believe, in my opinion. Judging what Dallas is,
I think that does have the feel of a playoff game.
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, judging they're in different conferences, let alone, but I mean, it should have the feel of something because what Dallas is 7-2,
7-2.
7-2. Kansas City is currently 6-4. I mean, it's going to be a great game. Do you guys have any closing remarks before we get our predictions in the books?
Comment anything at this point.
Leon, Frankie, nothing.
Nope.
I've got some spicy picks coming up.
We're excited to see what those spicy picks are going to be.
I have another word. I have some tasteful picks.
Oh,
Your picks in the past haven't tasted pretty good, so hopefully this time is better.
Neither has the Bengals offensive line.
You know what?
Oh, here we go.
Neither is the Raiders offensive line. Reaching for Alex Leatherwood. Are you kidding me?
He would have been there on day 2. He would have been there on day 2.
False started on 4th and 1, killed any momentum that she had.
Don't even get me.
Kansas
If
City.
John Gruden was never the coach,
We
we would have never had any of those
Okay,
picks.
moving on. Don't even mention John Gruden. Whatever.
fine.
Frankie, if you
Gruden
really
John-
wanted to attack Anthony, you should just reference the 2020 draft class and look to see who's left.
Don't even get me
For the Raiders?
Yeah, all they
Damon
got left is
Arnett was a 3rd round pick.
Brian Edwards
yeah.
is the only one
Could have
on
been
that
a third
team
round pick.
left.
Reminds me
Essentially.
of the Bengals teams in the early Marvin Lewis days.
Hey, if you want to really get at me,
Great talent on the field, character issues off the field.
Get at the Roberto Aguayo draft class.
All right. So anyway,
Yeah, okay.
we're running out of time. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like, and we'll get the prediction video out shortly. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys real soon.